Hello students, Miss Hill here, and I'm working on making some tutorial videos for you. And if you're in 1850, this is kind of what I'm talking about. So what I want to do is go over the first chapter of Microsoft Word in your textbook. Now granted, this lecture online might take 35 minutes, but it will cover everything in chapter 1 of Word. So feel free, if you kind of know this part, skip over it and you can kind of move back and forth. So let's go ahead and get started. If you open up that first chapter of Word, it tells us about making a flyer. Not ideally a lot of times what people think about when they're going to do something in Microsoft Word, but nonetheless, I mean, it can be done. So I think a lot of us think more of like a business letter or something like that, but the book starts out with a flyer for, I think, a lost dog, so we'll do that, or a found dog. Um, so I think we talked about this a little bit with our ribbons up here at the top, dialog box launchers. I think I went over that in the first video that I put up last night. But what I want to do here is we're just pretty much going to go through this chapter, and I'm going to do things a little bit differently than the book. And I want you to know that if you don't like the way something looks or the theme that they use in the book or the color, please feel free to change that. This isn't a graphic design class, and that's okay. I want you to use your creativity and use your own common sense to make things look professional and, you know, um, work for the betterment of you and your document. So first of all, I want to do a little bit of pre-planning. If I look in the book, I can see I've got two pictures of this dog that I'm going to use, so I need to know where to find those. So this is something you're going to have to do on your own, because you're going to need for some of your assignment student data files, and those are files that the book provides you with to complete your assignments. So the student data files that we need for everything in this book are located on a website. And I actually have that for you. If you look in your assignments area and then over here on the student data files website, that'll take you right out to this website where your student data files are. So what you want to do is click over here on the left, and we are going to download those. And my computer is just a little bit slow, so just hang in there. Alright, so now it's going to give you student data files for all the different areas of the book. So I'm going to download the Word files. Now this is going to be a compressed folder, so you need to understand that compressed folders only work when you take the files out or extract. Think of it as a suitcase. When we pack to go somewhere, we take all of our clothes, which would be the files, fold them up and put them in a suitcase, which is kind of like the compressed folder. But before you can wear those clothes or use them, you've got to take them out of the suitcase or the compressed file, or they're not going to work. So anyway, so if you look here, here's my download. So I'm going to click Run. And you may need to go to Google and search or find help on your computer, because a lot of people have different unzipping or extracting. And to unzip or extract means that we're taking the files out of the compressed folder. So I'm going to browse to make sure that I've got these. I'm just going to put them out on my desktop. And then there's actually, I think, right here in your Blackboard course, if you go to Start Here, and How Do I, here is a document that will help you with how to open and save compressed or zipped files and folders, which is what we just did. So let me minimize this and close. And if you look out here on my desktop, this is what I'm looking for. This is my Chapter 1 student data files. So here's the pictures of the dogs that I'm going to need. Now I'm not doing anything with these yet, but I went ahead and downloaded everything so that I had it there and ready. One thing to note, if you see a zipper or something on the outside of a folder, like this Chapter 1, you're not ready to use it yet. You have to extract or unzip the contents. If you don't do that, then it's not going to save and you're going to be stuck with a folder or a file that doesn't work. So make sure of that. That's very important. Okay, so let's go back into our document. One of the things that you really need to make sure that you do is pre-plan. And if you look on page 13 in the Word chapter, it shows you kind of one of the steps of pre-planning, and this is just a good rule of thumb. It's not something I really used to like to do, but the longer I work on this and understand how things work, this really is a good idea. And what that is where you go ahead and type your document out first, then you can format the document. So give me just a second to get this typed out. Something else to note on Microsoft Word 2010, your line spacing is different, and I'll show you what I mean. When we get to the end here, and I press space, and then it goes down to the next line, if you notice, there's a little bit of space in between these lines. Well, what happened was Microsoft said, you know, instead of single spacing, which is what we always used to have, they decided to go with 1.15 line spacing. And so, I don't really have a great answer for that or why that happened, but whoops, it's kind of annoying sometimes, but let me show you how to fix that. Because a lot of times, like for this, it's not going to matter, but if you're typing an English paper for English comp, and you've got to have it, you know, a certain style, and it has to be single or double spaced, then that is going to matter to you. So I cannot believe I actually typed that while I was talking and didn't screw up worse than that. So okay, this is it. It's already typed out, and that's what I'm talking about. So let's look really quick. This, like for example, between these two lines is 1.15. Let me show you what it looks like with single spacing. So what you can do is, if you press Control A, that's going to select all the text in your document. And up here on these quick styles, you've got a button called No Spacing. And when you click that, that takes you back to single line spacing, which in some papers you might need. On the other hand, you might need double spacing. When that happens, if you press Control A, that selects all the text in your paper. And then you've got a button here in the paragraph group where you can take it down to 2.0, and that's double spacing. So that's just a real quick way. Now normal style is just like we had done before, where you have 1.15 between your lines. So just a little FYI on that, and that's not something that used to be done. I noticed here I've got this little green squiggly line. Oh, and I realized the reason for that. I need to put a comma there. So we've got this much. So first of all, let's save, because that's a really good thing to do. Because if you forget to save a document, there's not a lot we can do to help you. So File and Save As, Desktop, and I'm just going to maybe name this Word Chapter 1 Project. That was my little boy coughing. So if you look down here, this Save As type, the main thing you need to make sure is this said Word document. Don't send it to me in a 97 through 2003 or a PDF. I need to see a Word document or it doesn't get graded. So I'm going to click Save, and I'm just going to put it on my desktop. If you're putting it on a flash drive or your Z drive, you might want to scroll down to Computer, and then you might want to put it on your flash drive, which I don't have one plugged in, so it's not going to show up, or your Z drive, which would be like your sort of like your cloud drive at college. But anyway, nonetheless, let me put it back on my desktop. Okay, so if you notice now at the top, our file name has changed, and that's a good thing. It should say what you just named the file. All right, so all that's done. We've pre-planned, which means that we have said, okay, here's all the text that we want. So now comes the fun part. This is the most boring part. Something that your book's going to tell you to do that I don't have any preference. I don't use them personally, but your book's going to tell you to use formatting marks. The formatting mark button is right here. It looks like a backwards P. When you click that, it's like an on and off button. On, off, on, off. When you turn it on, all that does is show you where you pressed enter and this how many spaces between the words you've got. So anywhere you see this backwards P or the paragraph mark, that means you pressed enter somewhere. When you see a dot between words, that means you press the space bar. One thing that we look for is out here on the end, if you're pressing enter like after the word bike, just because in the book bike was the last word on that line, I don't want to see that. I want you to keep typing and let Word decide where to break that word or where to break that line and go on down to the next one. If we were using typewriters back in the day, which is what a lot of us learned on, then you would have to, worry about that. But it's one of the great parts of technology. So I'm going to turn those off. But again, that's completely up to you. They get on my nerves a little bit, so that's why I tend to leave those turned off. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is, let me flip over here so I can take a look. We're going to take this found dog word and we're going to center it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click anywhere in there because that's your choice. And I'm going to go up here to the center button. And easy as pie, no big deal. You also could have selected the word. One really quick way I've found to select words, if you triple click, that'll select an entire line. I really like to do that now that I kind of figured out how that works. So what we also need to do is we need to increase our font size. The book says to increase to 72-point font. Now to do that, we need to make sure that we highlight these words. Now you can use this drop down. This is called the mini toolbar that just pops up when you highlight something. These buttons here are a grow and shrink font size. So if you're going from like 11 to 72 point, that's a big step, but it is helpful if you're going from 11 to 12 or 11 to 14 or so on. So I'm going to drop this down. We're going to take it all the way down to 72. So big change there. Also, we can change the font. The book tells us, oh, heck with the book, Arial rounded. But anyway, I'm going to pick something that I like. So I'm going to go up here to this font box. And I'm just kind of going to scroll down here and find something that I like. Now, what this is called, if you notice, is you move your mouse up and down across these types of fonts. You're getting an effect called live preview. Now, I always make the joke that was invented by a man because it lets you see what it's going to look like without having to commit. And I really wish I was in front of people because I'd know if you found that funny or not. But no offense if you didn't find that funny, but it's just a joke. So anyway, I'm going to go with this. This looks kind of funky. This Berlin Sans FB Demi. Okay. So the book also wants you to put a background color around this and change the color of the font. So I'm going to triple click and change the color of the font. Super easy right here by this A if you drop that down. And again, I'm not going to go by the book. I want you to choose whatever color you want, kind of in a purpley mood, so I think I'll go with something like that. And it also wants you to change some of the text effects. So let me go here where you have text effects. And you can actually add some kind of neat little effects to your text. Doesn't really matter, again, whatever. You can also add shadows, reflections, glows, outlines. There's all kinds of fun stuff. So I kind of like this, which actually changes the color, but that's okay because I think it's pretty cool. So, so I've got that. Now the book also wants you, or it acts like it wants you to put this paragraph around it, and that's over on page 20. What I'll tell you about that is I am not a big fan of this shaded block. So if you don't want to put that around there, I really don't blame you. I think it looks generic. So, but I'll show you how to do it just in case. We're going to triple click again to select it. Then up here in your paragraph group, you got this little paint bucket you can drop down. And if you wanted to add a color around that, you definitely can do that. you know, like I said, it's your choice. So there's what a purple color around that would look like. But again, I'm going to use my undo button here. I don't like it, but again, that's your choice. If you like it, go for it. Okay, so we're over here on page 21. We've made our title look nice and pretty, and it'll stand out. So now let's work on the body of our document here. So the first thing it wants us to do is we need to select all the lines of our body text. So I'm going to do that really quick. And then we need to change the font size. The book says to 22. So I'm going to go up here and do that really fast. The reason we want 22-point font is because if you're making a flyer, that's something like you'd see on a bulletin board, and you definitely want people to be able to see it without having to stand right in front of it. You want to catch people's attention with it. That's the whole point of kind of like advertising. So that's why we're going to go with 22-point font there. Then it says we want to take these 3 lines right here, and we want to make those bullets. The reason we want to make those bullet points is bullet points is they're a really nice way to simplify complicated information or make things more friendly to read. So when we highlighted those, I just went up here to the top and clicked on this bullet button, and it put those automatically in front of those and made those nice and kind of stood apart, so it shows the main points of what you're trying to get across. So something, just kind of a side note, I hear a lot of things about using bullet points in resumes. So from what I can tell, it's a good idea to learn to use these, because I think that that's kind of becoming a pretty big trend. Let's see. Then it says we want to, and I'm down here, I'm on page 26 now. We want to change the last line just to kind of make it stand out. So I'm going to do the triple click again to select the whole line. We want to center it, and it says we want to change the color of it. So I'm going to go up here to this A and drop it down, and I'm going to give it like a dark green color since I have a title that's a light green. And maybe bold. Sounds good. And then it says we want to underline the phone number. So to do that, that's super easy. Just select that. Then up here at the top, we're already in bold. We can just click on this U with the underline, and that'll make that stand apart from the rest of the font. Okay. And again, I know I'm hitting the high points here, but this should get you through most of the chapter. Alright, so on that part we're good. So let's go over to page 31 and insert these pictures of the puppies really fast. Something to know about inserting pictures is wherever you put that insertion point, like for example, I clicked right above the A, wherever the insertion point is where the puppy or the picture, clip art, whatever it is you insert, is going to show up. Now back in the day when Word used to be a lot less user-friendly, it was really hard because when you inserted a picture, the text would go all crazy around the picture and you had to get everything lined up. But Word or Microsoft has made this a much smoother process. So what we're going to do first of all is, this is why it's important to remember where we saved our student data files. I'm going to make sure that I've clicked where I want that picture to be, which is right here. I'm going to go up to the Insert tab and then choose Picture. Now when that comes up, I've got to navigate to where I want my picture, or where my picture is saved. So I'm going to go, I know it's out on my desktop. I know that I put it in a folder. There's chapter 1. There we go. Dog picture 1. Now when that happens, you're going to have a huge picture that's going to come in here, and if you notice, you went to 2 pages on a flyer. So please make sure, that's one of my, I'm very picky about that. A flyer can never be 2 pages. You don't ever see a 2-page flyer anywhere. So make sure that when this happens, we have to control that picture and edit it so that everything fits on 1 page. So what I want you to notice is when we inserted the picture, you have little sizing handles around the picture. What that means is you have selected the picture. And that's a good thing, because with that picture selected, look up at the top. You have a new tab now called Picture Tools Format. That is called a contextual tab. What that means is a contextual tab shows up in context of what you're doing in your document. So if I click away from the picture and deselect it, if you notice that tab goes away because Word doesn't know I want to work with the picture. So to make that come back, you have to select the picture by just clicking on it one time, and then you get that tab to come back. So I'm looking at page, let's see, 34, and what it says that we need to do here is we need to resize the graphic. It gives you on page 34 down at the bottom an approximate size 2.74 inches by 2.73. So what I can do is if you look up here in the top right side of your screen, it gives you a picture size. So what I want to do is I'm going to click. Now again, you want to use the corner handle because if you don't, you could end up with a short and squatty dog that looks like this. And please don't turn anything in that looks like this because that's not good. So by using the corner handles to size the picture, you keep everything in proportion. See how nice that looks? So the book says about 2.74, 2.73. So I'm going to kind of drag this out just a little bit more. Okay, so that probably is close enough. Whoops, I'm going the wrong way here. 2.74. That is close enough. Okay, so what I'm going to do is it says we need to center that graphic, I believe. Let me make sure I'm doing this the right way. Yes, we do want that centered. So I'm going to go to the Home tab and make sure your picture's selected first. And click on the center. So, alright, so we got one puppy picture in the center. So what we need to do now is we need to add the second puppy picture. So what I'm going to do, again, if we remember, the picture is going to show up where your insertion point is. So what I'm going to do is click to the right of that picture, and I don't know if you can see it, it's little bitty blinking insertion point down there, if you all can see that. So with that blinking, and I just clicked exactly to the right, I'm going to go insert picture, and the really cool thing is I don't have to navigate to that folder, it comes right back up. And I'm going to click on dog picture 2. I just double clicked on that. Now if you notice, we got a little bit of a problem now because we've got 3 pages, but again, no big deal. We're going to take this doggy and we're going to resize this doggy to be about the same size as the other doggy picture. So that is close enough. I'm not going to worry about it anymore. So now if you notice, we're back to 1 page. So again, don't panic. Everything can be fixed. All right. So now we're over on 36 and 37 and we've resized our pictures. So what we want to do now is we want to apply a picture style. So what they've done here is they've turned these pictures sort of catty corner to face each other. Here's what we mean. Let's start with the left picture. Picture styles are up here in this contextual tab, this box right here, this group. So if you click on this button right here, this is called the More button, and it'll drop down like another little menu for you. So what we're going to do is we are going to choose, let me try to find which one they chose there. They did a 3D rotation. Okay, cool. So instead of using this, they went over here to picture effects, and then they went to 3D rotation, and they went to, I believe, this off axis 1. Right. Okay. So they did that to this picture. Then what we're going to do is click on this picture and do a picture effects 3D rotation. And we want to do off axis to left, so we kind of make them face each other. That's okay. So with those resized like that, the book also puts a glow around them, which is just fine if you want. So to do the glow, you can just, I'm going to start with the left hand picture, and you can go to picture, let's see, maybe it's picture effects. Glow, and they put, I think they had an orange glow. Because we're going with green, I'm going to go with a green glow, and you can choose any color you want. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the other picture. All right, pretty neat. Let's see. Now, if you flip over to page 41, it talks about a page border. So super easy to do that. We can go up to the page layout tab at the top, and you've got this page border button. And the book has, let's see, they're using just a regular, looks like kind of a dash line. There's a lot of different options. So what let's do, let's go to the page border button. When you click on page border, you're going to get this box that pops up. And this over here is a preview area that shows you kind of what that border is going to look like. So the book chose in this style area here, I think they chose one of these dash lines, maybe this one. Then they chose a color. So you can, what they have also that's really neat, this art. And I know it looks a little bit generic, but if you go down and look in some of these patterns, down towards the bottom, some of these are really beautiful and appropriate if you apply them correctly. So that's something, just if you have some extra time or you want to try something different for your artwork, you can definitely do that. And I encourage you to do that. But again, I'm just going to stick with what the book has to keep it simple. I'm going to choose this dash line. I'm going to go to, I don't know, let's get crazy and do a purple color since we've done everything else in green. Here's the weight of the line, which means how thick do you want your border. I'm going to choose something kind of in the middle, this 1.5 point. And if you look here, it'll actually tell you which sides you can take it. If you click, it'll take it off and put it back on a certain side of the page depending on where you've got it. So really cool, the page border. So I'm going to click OK. So now I have this really nice border. And if you notice, you took kind of a plain, or we have taken a plain piece of paper and made it really nice just by sticking that border on it. It looks a whole lot more professional, I think, and eye-catching with that border on it. The chapter covers a few other things, which I'm not really going to go into just because of the video length here. But on page 53 in your textbook, I love these. These are chapter summaries. It has a list of things covered in the chapter and then page numbers. So if there's something you come across in one of your assignments that you can't remember where it's at, or you don't know where the page number is, look on that page 53, and there's one at the end of every chapter, and it'll help you. Now for this class, I don't want you to ever print anything out, especially because you're an online student. But please make sure that you save this before you close. If you did want to print, you would go to your File tab, click on Print, and this gives you kind of a print preview, and you would print it depending on your own specifications there. So, but anyway, let's make sure again that you have saved it, and then you can close out of this. So when you would be ready to submit this, for example, if you go to your assignments tab, which I don't have a link for it, but that's, you would go into week 2 assignments and learning resources. You would find the link for your assignment, which again, it's not there yet because I haven't made assignments for this chapter. You would click on the link and then attach it, and then there's where you would find it. And that's how you would submit it. If you want to make sure that you got something submitted, you can go to Tools on the left, and then you can go to My Grades. It won't let me because I'm a teacher, so I can't, if I pull up My Grades, it won't pull up anything like what you have. But you can check to make sure you have something submitted. But that's kind of in a nutshell, Chapter 1 of Microsoft Word. Please let me know if you have any other questions. And just like I said, I hit the high points, so it's up to you to read the book, go through the directions. Not only do that, watch this video and make sure that you don't have any questions. I'll also highly, highly encourage you, make sure you start on your assignments way before they're due. I've had a couple issues where people haven't started on the assignments until just hours before they're due, and then they end up not getting them turned in for one reason or the other. And again, my policy, I'm very strict on. I don't take late work. I don't take work via email. That's just a policy that I have from years of experience. It's not a good idea. So like I said, If you have any other questions, please let me know. And if not, I will see you soon.